video, we're going to try and restore the gel coat on my car. We're going to dip our toes into the world of detailing and cleaning a car. Yep, it's a gel coat on a car, just like a boat. Hey! If you're new around here, my name's Esther Quatermere and I like to fix, drive and race my classic cars. If that's your kind of thing, roll up them sleeves, grab them sponges, consider subscribing and we'll get to the video. So I have a 2CV based kit car called Bertie the Burton. If you're not familiar with this kit car, here's what Burton has to say. Forget what you think you know about sports cars. Forget flappy pedal gearboxes, electronic aids and hundreds of horsepower. Driving a Burton is driving at its purest. Only you and the car. No power steering to filter out the feeling. No ESP to keep you on the road. No air conditioning to keep your head cool. Ever heard of a sports car with a boot as big as a Skoda Octavia Combi? And for those who really want to drive Burton all year round, we've got an awesome hardtop with gull-wing doors, just because it's possible. So the Burton's got a gel coat, unlike the normal paint that you see on a car. Usually cars have automotive paint, which is usually acrylic polyurethane enamel paint. This is because cars are usually steel-based. The steel provides a smooth surface so that the paint can be applied evenly and get that real smooth finish. So the Burton panels, which is made from polyester, which is not smooth when bare. So the gel coat is then applied to the top and it's usually quite a thick coating, which means that you can then get that smooth finish, whilst also protecting the polyester underneath. This is not common in the automotive world, or at least on mass-produced cars. It is most common on boats. It can also be found on bathtubs. When I was doing research, I went to talk to the people who were manufacturing baths at my work, because I work for Ideal Standard, who make baths and toilets. I also did a lot of research and watched a lot of people cleaning boats. RVs also have this gel coat, but I watched a lot of boat videos. So I started my journey into trying to get this gel coat and the colour back to what it should be, because when it is beautiful and shiny, the colour is amazing. It's beautiful. So I really need to get it back. And it became really apparent that I needed to do something when I went to my first 2CV meet, and they loved the car, but it was commented that it was a shame about the bodywork. I also took it to work and people thought that I'd polished it wrong and that I'd left the polish on, and I was getting a lot of comments about the bodywork. So I really needed to start thinking about the bodywork and trying to restore this. One of the guys at the 2CV meetup messaged me afterwards and he'd found a gel coat restorer gel oil, and I was like, I'll give that a go. And at this point, this is where it really sparked an interest and sparked a lot of hours of research into finding all the possible products that might get my car back to its original form and keep it there. Because the car has spent the majority of its life outside, the sun really damages the gel coat and oxidizes it and makes it that chalky colour. So when the gel coat is exposed to the sun, the UV rays eventually cause the gel coat to dry out and become really porous, which can cause a white chalky appearance. And this is why the Burton looks better in the rain and the wet than it does when dry. So after a few test applications, which went well, in June 2020, I decided it was time to really get stuck into it. I borrowed a cheap polisher, I bought some wall pads, and I walked out not really knowing what I was doing, but willing to give it a go. Now, this gel coat restorer is like really thick, sticky oil. So you leave it on the surface and then you leave it for 10 minutes. You don't let it dry. Do not let it dry. Don't let it dry. I made that mistake once when I ran inside to watch a Boris speech. By the time I came out, it was dry, it was full sticky, it was horrible, it was really bad. So I won't let it dry again. And I didn't let it dry again. I started to apply it with the polisher, wait, and then I tried to take it off with the polisher, but I quickly figured out that wasn't going to work and that I had to take it off by hand. So I was still putting it on with the polisher, but taking it off by hand. So I kind of was saving myself half the effort. I also tried to get a satisfactory line down the front of the bonnet. The one that all detailers show, the nice line down the bonnet. Who did I think I was? I don't know who I thought I was. Like, I'm not a professional. So I did half the bonnet, and then I did the rest of the car, and then I did the other half of the bonnet. So yeah, that line was very visible for a long time afterwards. Either the pad was saturated by the time I'd done all the car and got round to the start again, or maybe I was just tired from having to like hand rub off all the sticky oil for all the entire car, and I just didn't spend as much time on this side as I did this side. But it's lesson learned. If you're trying to get that line down the middle, get that line, get the shot, and then do the second half quickly. I mean, I even think it might have rained a little bit, so I'm not a professional. I don't know what I'm doing. This created what I thought was quite a good result. You could still see underlying, it didn't quite take off all the oxidization, or it wasn't amazing, but it was good and it was okay. It lasted for a couple of months-ish before again it kind of started to become dull. So after I'd handed in my PhD, I decided I deserved a little treat. I decided to treat myself. Before I treated myself, I sat my boyfriend down to have the big talk. The big decision needed to be made. What tool company were we gonna use for the rest of our lives? No, we needed to commit to a tool company or a brand of tool so that all the batteries were the same and it just made sense. So I suggested Makita, he suggested Milwaukee. I suggested Delwart, he suggested Milwaukee. I suggested Roby, he said Milwaukee. So we got Milwaukee. I got myself the Milwaukee polisher. This is possibly the most expensive polisher out there. It's the battery powered one. It's intense. This is more super pro than I am. This was an experience to use for the first time. I went from like zero to owning all the gear and still having no idea. So I was armed with the new polisher, 2 chemical guy pads, orange and black, because I know what those colours mean. Oh, look out, new detailer in the house. Woo, woo, woo. New detail in the house, yeah boy. I went out there, I used the same oil as last time, and it did not work. Did not work. I couldn't figure out how to use that oil with that polisher and pad combination. It was probably user error, but I couldn't figure it out. Before I was just about to pack up and go, I looked in the box of spares that my uncle gave me when he gave me the car, and in there, I found some cleaning products. The man knows. The uncle's always right. These were the cleaning products that my uncle had in the back. He had paste compound, regular grade, and liquid compound. Extra fine grade. Exfoliant, I guess, would be the face cream equivalent of detailing. So yeah, these are the ones that I had. These are quite abrasive and I was a bit scared. So I applied it with the polisher at the lowest setting, carefully and full of fear. Then I swapped the pad out from the orange, which is the cutting pad, to the black, which is the buffing pad. But then we were back at it, polishing like a super pro. Super pro, and I feel like the results speak for themselves. Cue the fancy B-roll shots, the fancy reflection shots, the satisfying music behind. Ooh, look at the shininess. Ooh, look at it shine. So the big question is, how long did it last? Because it took me 2 full days to get that result, and how long did it last? Pretty much 6 weeks-ish again. I had seen that this stuff could be sprayed on and then sort of worked in to sort of keep that level of UV protection up. So I used this a couple of times. It kind of helped a little bit. I think By the second time I applied this, the car was a little bit of a lost cause and therefore this didn't work quite so well. It just couldn't stop the inevitable. It did get worse and worse over winter. So it shows you how much harmful UV rays there are in the winter still. So fast forward to the present day. It's now in my garage in my new house. So it is safe from the sun and the UV rays. I'm hoping to get back out there this summer and restore it to its former glory and keep it at its former glory. But that's gonna have to wait for another video, and I may have bought myself another little present. So subscribe so that you find out how this goes, and you get to follow along on my detailing journey from zero to hero. Maybe by the 42nd attempt, I might know what I'm doing. No. Click over here to see me fix something that had gone wrong on the Burton, and click this other interesting video over here. Until next time. Acrylic polyuretane enamel paint. Chemical thing that's happening. Don't put that in. Didn't research that.